Hello everyone, my name is Kevin and I'm here with Barbara. Together we both like to welcome you all to our latest Novedge webinar series episode. For this week's webinar, we're teaming with Autodesk Evangelist Lynn Allen to give you a first-hand tour of all the newest features in AutoCAD 2015. AutoCAD 2015 comes with many productivity enhancements, including a more modernized user interface, geographic location, and design feed. Knowing Lynn, she's sure to throw in some tips and tricks you can use regardless of the AutoCAD release you now have. For those of you who don't know, Lynn Allen, Autodesk Technical Evangelist, speaks to more than 30,000 users annually. For the past 22 years, she has written a column for Cadalyst magazine and is the voice behind the popular Cadalyst videos, AutoCAD Tips and Tricks with Lynn Allen. A sought-after public speaker with a unique comedic style, Lynn is the author of 3 AutoCAD books. Today's presentation is about 40 minutes long, and afterwards we'll have a brief Q&A where Lynn will answer your questions live. Submit yours to us at any time into the chat window below. But before we get going with today's presentation, here's an overview of what we do at Novedge. The Novedge webinar series is brought to you by Novedge.com. As one of the largest online design software stores, we offer a huge assortment of software solutions that cater to virtually every designer's need. To pick up a copy of AutoCAD 2015, you are welcome to call and speak with our specialist, Calvin Locke. You can reach him by his email address, calvin@novedge.com. And to stay current with AutoCAD and other Autodesk news, highlights, and events worldwide, visit Lynn Allen's very own blog at lynn.blogs.com. There you'll find not just her latest posts, but a list of upcoming speaking engagements and AutoCAD tips and tricks booklets as well. So if you notice it's 2014, I'm sure there's going to be a 2015 coming out. Wink, wink. So jot down lynn.blogs.com and bookmark today. Barbara?
Hi everybody, I'm here to remind all of you to visit the Novedge blog to get a glimpse at who is changing the world of design one step at a time. This week, for instance, we interview architect Ole Lundberg, who is a design firm in San Francisco and coincidentally designed the office of Autodesk on Pier 9. I wonder what software did he use. I don't know. Anyway, it's a fantastic interview. Check it out. And also to catch up with the latest product promos and Novedge webinars, like us on Facebook, another source of endless information, and why not, entertainment. Coming up in 2 weeks, geomatic consultant Jonathan Duguay gives us an overview of Vision Civil, a powerful tool for land surveyors and civil engineers. Composed of 3 modules, COGO, Vision, and Civil, Jonathan's presentation shows how their feature and functionalities combine to give you a powerful and complete civil engineering solution. The presentation is free and will last about 1 hour, including the Q&A session. To sign up, head on over to www.novedge.com/webinar/111. Last but not least, today's webinar is being recorded live, and if you want to rewatch episode 1 or 10, as always, you can find it on our Novedge webinar series channel through Vimeo and YouTube. And now, Lynn, are you ready to rock this webinar?
I'm ready to rock the webinar.
All right. Okay. So let's see. Thank you, Barbara. Lynn, I will pass the podium to you, the whole entire podium. There you go. Enjoy, guys.
Okay. Can you see that? Are we all good?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for finding time in your busy schedule to join us today. I'm going to be, of course, talking about the new features inside of AutoCAD 2015. And the good news is this is my very first presentation on AutoCAD 2015. And the bad news is this is my very first presentation on AutoCAD 2015. So there'll probably be a few bumps and bruises along the way. But I thought that you would prefer to have this live. I mean, this is actually going to be live, and so it's an adventure. So if there's a mistake here or there, I hope that you will understand. But I'm optimistic it's going to go great. So I'm very excited about AutoCAD 2015, and it's an awesome release. I've had a great time working with it. Every year I write my tips and tricks booklets, which will be available in a month or so. And there was so much information to put into it. So this is a great release. Of course, with each release we have a theme. The theme of this release is on boosting your productivity, and I absolutely believe that that's the case. We're going to take a look at an updated user interface. We're going to take a look at some productivity tools, some improvements to those tools you use every day. Those are always my favorite features, right? Because if you can remove a click from something that I do all the time, that's a beautiful thing. And you'll also see that there's some really forward-thinking features that I've put into AutoCAD 2015. Reality capture is becoming more robust. A lot of great features in this release. For, no matter how you use it, if you just use it for the everyday 2D design, or if you extend it to 3D and reality capture, there are features for everybody in this release. So if you haven't seen AutoCAD 2015, I'm showing you on the screen an example of what AutoCAD 2015 looks like. We're going to talk about this. You're going to see that there's a new darker themed interface. And if you're a traditional AutoCAD, you're like going, what? Which is kind of what I did at first, but now I absolutely love it. The concept behind this is that, as CAD operators, we have a tendency to sit in front of our computer all day long and stare at the screen. And if you have a bright white interface and you're in model space with a dark model space, which a lot of you use, it's really hard on your eyes. So this new darker theme, this cool gray theme, this is supposed to be the absolute best for your eyes. And I actually have been able to tell a little bit of difference myself. So, the good news is if you don't like it, of course you can put it back to the lighter theme, but I would encourage you to definitely keep it this way for a while, because I think you're going to fall in love with it. Just kind of pointing out a few other things. You'll see, once again, this is the darker theme. You'll see that it also affects the palettes. They're darker as well, a cool gray. And the status bar also has that cool gray color, and it's been streamlined. So a little bit easier to control what shows up on the status bar, a little bit more logical order. The commands that you use all the time are still there, but you can control which ones are there very easily. The model and layout tabs, so hopefully you can see that in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. They're on the same line as the status bar. They don't take up a whole line to themselves anymore. That means that you have more screen real estate, which I think is a really good thing. And also, you'll find that selecting objects is so much more obvious now than it used to be. And I can tell you why I love this, because I go into paper space all the time, right? I switch to a layout tab, and I think I'm in the viewport, and I select objects. I'm in the middle of a command, and it turns out that I didn't select the objects because I'm not really in that viewport, and it's so frustrating. So now it's completely clear to me. Hopefully it'll be clear to you when you've selected objects and you're in the right place at the right time. Love that feature. And then we've kind of, over the years, are used to lines that are diagonal inside of AutoCAD being jagged. We're kind of just used to that and we put up with it. Or circles and arcs being a little bit jagged. With 2015, you'll see that there's a new element of line smoothing. So we don't have to put up with that anymore if you don't want to. So that everything looks fabulous on the screen. Just a much better visual appearance. And if you've ever seen me do a presentation before, I always start off with user interface, because if you're not comfortable with the user interface, you're not going to like this AutoCAD release. And I want you to be nice and cozy and comfy. So we're going to, I'm going to jump over. I'm not going to give you all PowerPoint all the time. I'm going to jump over to AutoCAD, and we're going to go through some of the changes to the user interface. And I should also note that in this limited amount of time, I can't show you every single new feature inside of 2015. I just kind of picked my favorites because it's my presentation. So let me jump over to AutoCAD. And let's make that a little bit bigger. And when you first go into AutoCAD, when you first open it up, you're going to see this new surprise called New Tab. And this is basically a nice, friendly way for you to get into AutoCAD. Because when we go into AutoCAD now, we start with this blank screen. And then we have to go up and select a file that we want to get into. This is supposed to get you there a little bit faster. So let me just quickly run through this new tab. On the left-hand side, I think that's very clear. That's how you start a new drawing, and you can pick a template file as you go along with that. You'll also see you can open files from here and sheet sets and sample drawings and things like that. If you go to the center column, these are your recently viewed documents. Very easy, very friendly. And you can even control how these look. Maybe you just want images. Maybe you just want text. You know, we all work a little differently. I like both. I want everything. I want both. You can pin the drawings so that they never, you know, ever leave the space. I like to do that for drawings that I know I'm going to be using over and over and over again. And on the right-hand side of the screen there is Autodesk 360. So that's just a super speedy way for you to get into your Autodesk 360 account. You can send us feedback. And you'll also see that if there's any information, like maybe there's an update available, that information is going to show up here in the lower right-hand corner. So the new tab that you're looking at right now is really made up of two screens. We're currently in the Create screen. I'm going to switch over to the Learn screen. Now this is just in case maybe you want a quick refresher on what's new inside of 2015. There's some great videos. There's some getting started videos. And for those of you who are brand new to AutoCAD, which is probably nobody on this call, but if you are brand new to AutoCAD or if you're still a beginner, I highly recommend you take a look at this Hitchhiker's Guide to AutoCAD. It's really fantastic, and it's extremely helpful, and I've heard great things from people about it. And you'll see that we have little tips up there for you, so maybe when you come in the morning you want to get your daily tip, you can take a look at that. So I'm going to go back over to the Create page, and I'm just going to say I want to start a new drawing. And if you take a look at this, you'll see the gray background that I was talking about. So up here in the ribbon, you'll see it in any of the palettes are gray, and you'll see it down at the status bar, as I mentioned to you before. And I did mention to you that you have control over what shows up on the status bar. I'm going to go ahead and just select over here, and you'll see we have quite a few options. It became kind of overwhelming, I think, in previous releases. So now you can just select the ones that you want there. You can change them anytime that you want. All right? So what else have I got to show you on here? You'll see that basically the ribbon's the same. So if you already know the ribbon, there's not going to be any surprises. The View tab on the ribbon has been kind of moved around a little bit to make it easier to work with, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward and no big surprises there. The only big surprise really for you is this grayish theme. So I'm going to go into Options. And I want to show you, if you go to the Display tab of Options, here is the color scheme. If you want to, you can put it back to white. I know that there's rebels out there who wanted to go back to white. That was my first impression as well. So now you should feel right at home, right? Everybody take a deep breath. Oh, this is what I'm used to. But I am going to put it back, all right? Because I want us to get used to this dark theme. The soothing dark theme. Let me just move this up here really fast. Okay, so what else can I show you? Lower left-hand corner, I was talking about how the layout tabs are on the same wavelength, the same line as the status bar. You'll see if I, let me go to a different drawing. You'll see if I move my cursor over the layout tabs, can you see on there that it's very visual? It shows you which layout tab, what's in that layout tab. And there's a plus, so you can very quickly add more. And if you get too many, which we'll get too many in just a second, I'm going to keep doing until we get too many, some arrows show up so you can easily get to your different layout tabs. So very friendly, very easy to work with. Now, let me get in here. Give me 2 seconds on here. Let me jump over to my sheet set. I'm a sheet set addict. You guys know that about me, right? That's Heidi started that. It's her fault. So what else? I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you, that the classic AutoCAD workspace has been removed from inside of AutoCAD. Let's take a look at, these are the ones that come with it. Of course, if you have any workspaces, you can migrate those forward. We're really trying to get you to use the ribbon. The ribbon came out in 2009, and now we're 5 releases later, and I know there's still some ribbon rebels out there. You guys know who you are. But the ribbon is so smart and so intelligent, I don't know how I could live without it inside of AutoCAD. So let me just point out a couple of things. I don't really know what that is, right? It could be anything. If I click on there, it turns out it's a PDF. And you'll see that the ribbon changes automatically based on the fact that I selected that PDF, right? I can also come in here and I can select this font. Let's do the other, select this font. This is that part where I said I want to know that I'm inside of the space there. Here we go. Pick this, select this hatch pattern. and you'll see that it automatically switches me over to the ribbon to the hatch options. So I love that. The ribbon is smart, 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 and I really, really want to encourage you to get used to using the ribbon and try using the ribbon and give it a chance. If you're determined to still use AutoCAD Classic, there are ways to get around it, but I'm going to keep that top secret for now. If you do make the move over to the ribbon, then you're going to want to know where everything is. That's probably the biggest, what gets in the way the most, right? Because you have to relearn where everything is. Well, the help file has been dramatically changed to make it easier on you. So for example, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to type in layer walk. Let's say, I don't know where that is in the ribbon. And you'll see here's layer walk, and come down here and select. Incidentally, in case you didn't know this, you can come up here and you can decide, are you a user, are you a developer, you know, what exactly are you? But you can select on these things. Let me go to hatch, for example. Let's go to design feed. And you can actually select on these find options in help. And look at that, it shows you exactly where to find anything in the ribbon. It's super, super friendly. So I love that new option. So if you can't find something, just go into help, type it in, and it will take you there. Doesn't get any easier than that, right? Right. Okay, let's close that out. See, it's friendly. We're going to help you move to the ribbon if you haven't done that yet. And I also love these new things called galleries. These galleries are fantastic. If I go to the Insert tab on the ribbon, and I come over to the Insert option there, you will see that all the blocks that are stored in this drawing show up in this gallery. These are called galleries. And I can very easily select one of the blocks and then just drop it anywhere in the drawing that I want that to go. Super easy. Love the galleries. What else is a gallery? Well, if you go to the Annotate tab on the ribbon, you will find that there are galleries under dimension styles. So it's really obvious what the different dimension styles look like. There are galleries underneath the multi-line styles there, multi-leader styles, and also for table cells. Take a look at that. All kinds of galleries. That's going to make it easier for you to select these different styles so that you know exactly what you're getting for your drawing file. All right, and then last but not least, from that same page from the PowerPoint, I want to show you a really cool tool. I think it's this one right here, for those of you who work in 3D. So if I do an orbit, I'm going to come over here and grab orbit from toolbar. You can see that it rotates around, very friendly. But what if, can you see how on here I have it set up so that wherever I select, it rotates around that particular point? By default, it kind of just rotates around the center. Sometimes. It's kind of arbitrary. It depends where you built the model. But now I can actually select anywhere, and it will rotate around that particular point. That's great if you use 3D orbit. So it's very, very clear wherever you rotate around. So how do you get to that? Because I can tell you that's not on by default. If you go into 3D orbit and you do a right-click, you will see that there's an option for Enable Orbit Auto Target, which is really hard to say. If you turn that off, you're turning the auto target off, you're going to be the one selecting the target. It sounds like it's kind of reverse as far as making sense. If you turn this off, though, you'll be much happier. That's all I'm going to say. Turn it off, you'll be happier. And it's not off by default, so you need to do that yourself. All right, I think I covered all of those things. Let's go back over to our PowerPoint. So the dark theme, the ribbon smarter and smarter, the improved help that's going to point to you in the ribbon and help make it easy for you to find the commands, the galleries, which I love, the layout improvements, and I showed you that 3D orbit target point. You need to go in there and turn that off so that you can orbit more easily. So the other thing another thing that's very big inside of AutoCAD 2014 is the improved graphics, like the line smoothing I was talking about, complex line types. You know, as you create and edit them, you'll actually see the complex line types changing and moving with you. In the past, you just end up like this with this cursor that isn't very helpful. It's much easier to see when you select objects. That's how I knew that I wasn't inside of model space there. A new lasso option, which I think is fantastic, and I think you're going to like that for selecting objects, and some great improvements to the model space viewport, which is some people's very favorite feature in the product. So let's go take a look at the improved graphics. Let's go back over to AutoCAD. And let's go to this guy right here. So if you take a look at this, we have some diagonal lines. Look how nice and smooth they are. All the circles are pretty and nice and round. If I pay no attention to that, we're not going to install that update, are we? If I come down here to the status bar underneath hardware acceleration, I can go to the graphics performance dialog box, and there's an option for smooth line display. I'm going to turn that off for just a second. And just to kind of show you what I'm talking about, you guys all know this, right? We've seen this forever. So now you have the option of keeping that on. It's not going to slow you down. I haven't seen any degradation at all as far as performance. I keep it on all the time because it's not slowing me down, and it's fabulous. Everything looks nice and crisp. And I also commented to you about, this is a complex line type here, right? If I select this to move, you'll see that it's very clear what's happening. I don't get just a little dashed line anymore. I can actually see the complex line type moving around. And if my current line type is actually a complex line type as well. If I go into like the polyline command or something and I draw on the screen, you can see it's very clear. I know exactly what I'm going to get. Much better than we used to have. You know, it used to show up later when you were done selecting the points. So that's also very nice. Let me show you the new lasso option. Let's go over to, I think I actually have this one already open. Let's see if I have it open. I do. So you know that if, let's say if I go in the erase command and I pick 2 points, you get a window, crossing window, right? You can see the difference. Can you see the little boxes too? Those are called badges. We'll talk about those in a bit, those little clues that are by the cursor. We're used to that. That's easy. But now, if you hold the cursor down, you'll actually see that you get this cool lasso, like the Wonder Woman lasso of truth there. And you'll see that this allows me to select objects that are not necessarily lying within a rectangular area. Very, very cool. So that's if you hold down the mouse. We're used to just click, click. If you hold down the mouse, then you're going to get a lasso. And there's a couple different lassos. If you see at the bottom of the screen right now, it's a window lasso. If I hit the space bar, it actually switches over to a fence lasso. That means as I go through the objects or select, it will select them. Can you see that? A little bit different than a lasso. Instead of the objects inside the lasso, this is anywhere my cursor happens to touch. And then one more changes it to a crossing lasso. So the space bar is key here. We need to remember to take a look at the command line so we can remember that. So that's the new lasso option. I like that. If you don't like it, you can turn it off. I'll show you where to turn it off. Also in options, because I want to make sure you're happy. But you'll see here underneath the selection tab, allow press and drag for lasso. So if it bugs you, you can turn it off, but I'd love for you to give it a try first because I think it's very, very powerful. And let's also go over to, this is a very popular feature. This is the improvements to model space viewport. So that's those tiled viewports, right? Let's go to the model here. So these are the in-canvas viewport controls. I've done quite a few video tips on these. Hopefully you're familiar with these. They're only available in model space, and they're really most valuable for those of you who work in 3D, although they do have some value for those of you who work in 2D. Now there's 3 columns. Up here, I'm going to go to the first column and click on that because that's where my viewport configuration controls are. And incidentally, you can also turn the view cube and steering wheels and things like that off. So I could come over here and I could say I want, 4 equal or 3 with the biggest one below, etc. I'm going to do a little trick though. You have to be really steady. You can't have had too much coffee. If you just double click on that dash, it will fill the screen with 4 different viewports, all different viewing directions, the different viewing angles, which I kind of like. You can see this is the top view, right? So what has changed? Check this out. You're going to love this. You can see these little items right here allow me to change the boundaries of my viewports. You can go to the corner here and you can change them around. Let's see. Like so. There's also these little pluses. So tiny, hard for you to see, probably really hard to see on your screen. Hope you have a big monitor. But if you click on the plus, we'll actually add in another viewport. How's that? Crazy. These are like totally different than they used to be. You can maybe add one in there. If you hold down the Shift key, I think it's the Shift key, you can actually split a viewport. I'm just doing all kinds of crazy things. Oh, it must be the Control key. Heidi's probably watching going, it's the Control key. It's the Control key. There's a lot of wild key combinations with these that you can do. And if you decide you want to get rid of a viewport, you can actually just pull it over to the other one. You just kind of slide it over. Like if I slide this up here, it will just make one total viewport. So you just have to try it. You have to get used to it. It's super, super, super simple. I should be able to get to this one in here. Oh, there we go. To size them all at one time. Couldn't grab that before, but it's working now. Very, very powerful. And then just as another tip, if you double click on that plus on any viewport, it will fill the whole screen with that viewport. Just a little tip for you. That works in previous releases of AutoCAD for quite a few releases. All right, let's go back over to our PowerPoint. Hope you're hanging in there. We did the line smoothing, the complex line types, that lasso option, which I love, and the viewport enhancements. For those of you who do, it's mostly for those of you who work in 3D and use the tiled viewports, right, for most cases. So these are always my personal favorite. Anything, like I said, that removes a click from my life or makes those everyday commands easier, I think is a beautiful thing. So we had command previews were added in the last few releases for offset and for fillet and chamfer. Okay, and last year it was offset, and this year they've added in more command previews for trim, extend, match prop, and break, and I'm going to show those to you. We also have these new cool things called badges. You know, we don't need no stinking badges, right? But you're going to love these badges. And you can fillet polyline arcs. Last year we were able to fillet a polyline to itself, and now we can fillet polyline arcs. Object snaps now ignore dimension lines if you want to. Oh, that's so nice. How many times have you accidentally grabbed the end of a dimension line when you really meant to grab an object, a corner maybe on an object? And dim continue mode, we'll talk about that. And there's some great isometric drafting tools. And I know a lot of you have been asking for the ability to do isometric drafting a little bit easier than what we've had in the past, so I think you're going to be happy with that. So let's jump over and tackle all of these. And if this was a live audience, I would say, you guys doing okay? But you know, you can tell me I won't be able to hear you, so that's just the way it is. All right, let's take a look at our command preview. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to zoom in really close. So I'm not going to show you it for fillet and offset and chamfer because those existed before. Let's take a look at extend. I'm going to have a home tab on the ribbon. I'm going to come up here. Am I in here? Am I in the viewport? Once again, see, look how clear that is. Love, love, love that. Love, love that. So obvious when you select things. Such a big improvement. All right, let's go over to extend. Now you know that you can hit an enter to select every darn thing, but I'm just going to make this a little bit more obvious. So let's click here, hit an enter, and now you'll see how easy that is, right? It's very visual. I can see before I click what I'm going to get. So that's going to save you from having to use the undo command. We want to avoid the undo command whenever possible, right? The undo command is the most frequently used command in AutoCAD. We want to fix that. We don't want it to be like that. And let's do a little bit more, just you know, a friendly reminder, if you go into the extend command and hit an enter, everything becomes, you know, an extension, a boundary, right? So let's have some more fun. Click there, click there. Got quite a bit going on there. We'll just have a little extend party. So that's extend. Let's take a look at this for trim. Let's come back up here and let's go to trim. I'm trying to behave and use the ribbons. I have a tendency to type everything in. Don't be like me, be better than me. Let's see, what can we trim? So I'm going to hit an enter to select everything as a cutting edge. Hopefully you guys know that's an option. It doesn't highlight anything, so you just have to believe. You know, it's like you just have to have faith with the force or whatever. So you can see it's very clear to me. Can you guys see that little tiny red X? That means it's going to get trimmed out, and it's a nice and visual, right? So now I'm trimming things out. So easy. You're not going to make nearly as many mistakes. So what else did I say? Lengthen. Lengthen's been added in that do I have a good thing to lengthen? Yeah, I've got a couple things to lengthen. Oh, here I go. I misbehaved. Lengthen. So I'm going to actually say delta. I'm going to pick it with my mouse. I'm sure you guys know that you can pick it physically and not have to type it in. Let's type in 300. And I'm going to go ahead and lengthen a few things. We'll lengthen that, and some more, some more, some more. I'll zoom in so you can see a little better. So one of the things that I want to point out is if I go back in the lengthen command, I want you to see that the default is what it was set to before, and it remembers the number. That probably seems pretty basic for you, but in previous releases, the lengthen command has no short-term memory. It totally just forgets whatever you said and goes back to the basics. So that tiny little change for those of you who use lengthen is going to be a big deal. And once again, you were able to see how visual it was. It showed you what the result of the lengthen would be. All right, let's do break. Break is the best because break is the one we tend to get wrong, right? Oh, she typed it in again. So I'm going to go ahead and select this object here. Oh, let's turn off my object snaps because you know it wants to go to the endpoint, right? So let's turn off my object snaps temporarily. And let's try that again. Pick an object. Look how visual that is. Oh, love that. I know exactly what's going to happen, right? Very, very clear. Pick the object. You don't have to worry about first point. It's just you can tell what's happening, which is wonderful. People get frustrated with the break command because it's not as intuitive as some of the other commands in AutoCAD. So that's break. And then last but not least, match prop. I also love that too. So do match prop. And maybe I'll select this one right here. So can you see as I move my cursor over, is it not going to do it? Oh, it didn't pick it. For some reason it didn't pick it. There we go. Oh, much better. So I picked the yellow one. And you can see as I move my cursor, it's showing me the results if I make changes or even if I were to come up here, right? All right, I'm going to do that, get that right. Source object, hello. There we go. It's not that complicated, Lynn. But I want to make sure you see it. So that is a command preview for the ones that have been changed inside of AutoCAD 2015. So that's trim, extend, match prop, and break. And lengthen also. I don't have lengthen on there, but lengthen is one of them. And then I talked to you about cursor badges. So let's take a look at the cursor badges. So I'm going to go into the scale command. I'll pick it from the ribbon. I'm going to select this object right here. Pick a base point. Let's turn those object snaps back on. Pick a base point. And see that right by the cursor, upper right-hand quadrant there, you can see a little badge that means that we're scaling. It's a little icon. It matches the icon in the menu. So it's very clear what's happening. As you get used to these cursor badges, you're not going to accidentally end up in the wrong command because you're going to be able to tell by those badges. I'm just going to type in a value of 2. Okay, let's come up here. And just as I mentioned to you before, look how clear it is when you select objects. I love that. I absolutely love that. It's just so much more obvious. So you won't, once again, not know that you're not inside. You won't, that was like the worst English ever, but you'll be able to tell if you're inside of a viewport. So let's take a look at some more cursor badges. So let's say that I want to do a copy. I'm just going to pick this simple object here. We'll just do that. All right. So you'll see as soon as I select, there's a nice little cursor badge. Looks just like I'm copying it, right? You see the little cursor badge? Matches the icon in the menu. Very obvious. And I want you to also see if I do a move. Grab these guys. You can tell I'm moving and not copying. Can you see the other object is kind of being deleted as we go? And you can also see the cursor badge on there as well. Just a little bit more obvious, a little bit more help. You guys are pros. Maybe you don't need this as much. I'm going to tell you, I have been grateful for them. But you can imagine new users, super, super helpful, right? It's going to make their transition so much easier. All right, let's see. What else? What else have we got in here? Let's go to a different drawing. It's thinking. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. I've actually been impressed with the performance of 2015. It's been kind to me. It's been really fast and efficient. And I've been doing some pretty serious things with point clouds, and I think it's been done a great job. So I'm going to come inside this viewport. Once again, it's very clear that I'm inside the viewport. And this is a polyline. So let's just quickly go into fillet. And just to show you that you can fill it, not only fill it a polyline to itself, but fill it polyline arcs. And then also, hopefully you know this came out inside of AutoCAD 2014, that, here I'm drawing an arc. Hopefully you can see that. If you want to go counterclockwise, you can hold the control key down and it will go counterclockwise, which I love. And inside of 2015, that also works on poly arcs. So that's a nice addition, right? And I mentioned to you, let's come back out of here, that if I just, let's see, where's a good example? See, if I come in here, so let's come down to this one. So this is the part where you can see I'm kind of rusty. I've practiced this like 5 times all the way through, but when there's a lot of people not staring at you, but you know they're there, you somehow magically forget everything that you practiced. So let's say I wanted to draw another dimension, just for example. So let's go over to annotate, and let's go over to dimension. So often it would grab the end of that extension line, right? But now it won't do that anymore. It will actually ignore the end of the extension lines, which is a big, 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 big deal. I can't tell you how many times I've grabbed the end of those extension lines. And that can be controlled inside of options if for some reason you don't like that, but hopefully you will like that. If you take a look at the current dimension style, you can see that it looks like that. Big orange characters, if that's an orange, and you can see the slashes there, the tick marks. So I want to do a baseline dimension or a continued dimension. So I'm going to come up here and let's do baseline. Did I just all of a sudden forget how to do baseline? And let's do continue. That's what I want to do. I'm going to grab this as my base dimension. And I want you to see that even though my current dimension style is something completely different than what you see on the screen, that with AutoCAD 2015, it's smart enough to know that I wouldn't want to use that dimension style to continue or do a baseline dimension. You always want to use the same dimension style as the base dimension, right? I mean, that's basic drafting techniques. So you used to have to always remember to set your current dimension style to be whatever that base dimension is. But now you don't have to think about that. That's all controlled with the dimension variable called dim continue mode. And right now it's set to 1. It's set to 1 by default. If you set it to 0, it's going to go back to the way it used to be, and we'll always use your current dimension style. If you want to break all drafting rules known to man, you still can, but hopefully you won't. And you don't have to remember this variable because it's set to the right value by default, so unless you want to turn it off for some reason. And let's go into, come inside of here. Let's have a little bit of fun with isometrics, all right? So down at the bottom of here on the status bar, you'll see that there's a new option for isometrics, for switching from one isoplane to the other, which many of us have learned to do with, Control E or by hitting F5, right? So let's start off by going to isoplane top. You can see it's clearly on now. Before it was just all white. Now it's on. Let me come into this viewport. You can see that for the grid marks in there even. And I'm going to go just simply into the line command. And the deal is we should be able to turn the ortho on and have it go the right direction, right? So I'm just going to draw. It's kind of a basic, let's use let's make sure it's all lined up properly, right? All right, so let's switch to a different side. Let's go over to isoplane left. And let's go back in the line command. Let's go back in the line command. Let's draw a little bit more. And then once again, I'm going to make sure I have the right position. Did I get it? There we go. Love that. And we'll do one last one. We'll switch over to isoplane right. And let's go back in the line command. Just grab that. Make sure it's the same length. Perfect. Love that. So that should make it a little bit easier for you to work in isometric drawing mode, and I love that, and I'm glad that it's easily accessible and very, very visual. So you don't keep going around in circles trying to get to the right one, by toggling and, oh, it's the wrong one. You can go specifically to the plane that you're after. All right, so that's a nice change inside of AutoCAD 2015. All right, let's go back over to our PowerPoint. MText improvements. So I'm going to show these to you. Look at the time. Boy, this is taking a little longer than I expected. That's because there's so many features. So I'm going to make sure I show you these, and then I may run past some of the others, may just talk about them. Once again, first presentation, I don't know how long it is. So, but we all use text, so I have to show you the changes to text. You're going to love the changes to text. So first of all, there's transparency with MText, so you can see the objects underneath it. Helpful. You'll also see that if you accidentally had your AutoCAD on when you started to talk, when you start to type, it will automatically switch it for you because it's smart. And there's now the auto bullets and numbering is much better than it used to be, so you can use your own characters. You can it just works so much better than it used to. And the fractions are better. They're super in subscript, and working with the tabs inside of MText has always been challenging, so there are a lot more tooltips now than there used to be. And then a very cool command called text align that allows you to line your text up, which we often have to do. It's just going to make it a lot easier for you to do that. All right, so let's jump over. Let's go over to MText. The wonderful Heidi Hewitt set this sheet set up for me because she's wonderful. So if I double click on that, you can see that it's transparent, right? That's kind of the point that I want to show you there. It's transparent. You can see the objects underneath it. And let me zoom in, and let's double click again, just to show you how easy this is as well. In the past, it's been a little tricky changing the columns, but you can see it's so much easier to do now. You can do it from the corner. You can do each one, whatever makes you happy. So that has been changed as well. Very, very friendly. So let me just come in here. Let's zoom in some. And did you see that automatic numbering there? So once I do that, it's going to assume that I want to do some numbers. So I'm just going to say first line, second line. So what if I do that? So it knows I want to stop, but then I do like a 4. It's going to go, oh, now I'm not sure what you want to do. It has this little lightning bolt. If I click on the lightning bolt, you'll see maybe I really meant to continue my numbering. I just wanted an extra big space in there. If I select that, it's going to go back to 3. You'll also see that you can get rid of bullets altogether, numbering, or you can start all over again with 1. So it's completely up to you. Very, very friendly. And you'll also see that if you do something that looks like it could be a bullet, it's going to assume it's a bullet, bullet 1, and will allow you to keep doing that. And there's a variety of characters that it will repeat. Not all the characters, but quite a few that it will repeat. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Let's see. I want to do H2. Aren't you glad that there's an option now where it tells you before you accidentally leave MText and get cranky? H2O. If I come in here and I select that 2, you will see that I can superscript, subscript. Very easy to work with. I just did it again. Let's do 1/4. Hit the space bar, it automatically stacks them. Maybe you didn't want them stacked like that. You could say you wanted it diagonally stacked, or you can come in and say unstack if you want. Sometimes it would stack dates, which was a problem, right? We don't want them stacking dates. And then there's a whole stack property dialog box with all kinds of options in it. And then last but not least, let me just kind of show you this whole cap lock. So I have my cap lock on. You just have to believe me. And I start typing, today is, see how it knew that was wrong? It's like, wait, that's not what you meant. It automatically turned cap lock off and it fixed it for me. I love that. It's wonderful. So that is most of the changes to MText. I promised you, let's just click out of the box to save that fabulous text that I added in. You can also do text align. As I mentioned to you before, that's a whole new command. I'm sure it's in that menu somewhere. If I was a better presenter, I'd go find it. But I'm going to, eventually I'll get there. Oh, not in the viewport. Are we in the viewport now? Yes, I can tell. Let's go back to text align. All right, I want to align that, and I want to align that, and then technically want to align that. And then you kind of basically just pick the point you want to align it to, and they'll all line up nice and neat. And there's a bunch of options. Look at these options. If I go to options, you'll see that you have a lot of control. Maybe you want them all to be spaced in a certain value, or you want them distributed evenly. There are a lot of options there, as well as alignment options. So you could just say, I want them to be all left justified or centered or whatever the situation is. So that is text align. Very, very, very powerful. Okay, let's go back over to, I can just do that down here, go over to PowerPoint. And also, it's not on here, there's also a new match prop option inside of MText that allows you to match properties inside of the MText dialog box, which is awesome. All right, geographic location. So let me see, what time is it? It is, am I running out of time? I'm all right. We're going to run through these really quickly. But I do love the changes to geographic location. It's so easy to use, super easy to use, really fabulous. So this allows you basically to design with the map in the background, right? Or to place a model that you've already done in a map as well, or even just a floor plan. And it works very well inside of AutoCAD 2015. One of the issues previously was you couldn't print with the map, and now that's all been sorted out. So let me just kind of show you how easy it is to do that. Let's go to geographic location. These are my wonderful sheet set. This is really just an empty sheet. We're going to start from scratch. And you're going to use the Insert tab in the ribbon. You're going to go to Set Location, and you're going to say From Map. And do you want to use online map data? It used to be there was no choice. I'm going to say no, just to show you that you can actually put in latitude and longitude if you happen to know that. But I'm going to say use maps, because that is way more cool. Maybe I will. Is it thinking? Oh dear. If it takes too long, then I'll just go back to the PowerPoint. Oh. For some reason, it was taking a nap. Well, that never does that. All right. So I thought for fun, we would go to Autodesk main office. I live right by there. Okay, let's see. Oh, there it is. You can actually move these pins around once you drop them in, which I might do. Let's close this up. You only came up with one. There's only one of that address. If there was more than one, you could select which one you wanted. Like if you made it really vague, like California. That's pretty vague. So you can see, you zoom in right there. This is actually the Autodesk main office. Autodesk is very dog friendly. This little park in the backyard was designed so that people could walk their dogs. You can move this pin anywhere you want to, and I'm just going to move it to the very front. Now if I had this floor plan, I could actually drop that floor plan right on top of that inside of my drawing file. I'm going to go ahead and say next. So in the past, at that exact same time, you would have to select the coordinate system that you wanted to use. And the coordinate system that it listed first was the worst possible one, World Mercator. You don't want to ever pick that one. It's not very accurate. Now it's actually listed in the order of the ones that are most likely to work for you, the ones that are local to the area that you dropped your marker on. I'm going to actually select this one right here with the foot, feet and inches, because, well, that's kind of the way we do things here because we're crazy. The rest of the world uses metric, of course. And then I'm going to hit next. Now it's going to ask me, where do I want that location in my drawing? In this case, I have an empty drawing. I'm going to say 0, 0, 0. But if you had a floor plan, you would want to pick on the floor plan wherever the pin was on the map. And you can move that around until you get it right. And I also want this to be north up here, just much easier to work with than it was before. And there we have it. Zoom in some more. Now this is actually in my drawing for now, and I can't print it at this point. In order to print it, I'm actually going to have to capture the area. But let's just take a look at this. You could say you wanted the road. You want to look at the road instead of aerial. Looks like it's going to slow down on me now. That's a good thing to go back to PowerPoint. It doesn't like it when you're doing a webcast and you use the software. It fusses like it's fussing right now. Maybe I'll just capture an area. Let's see if it'll let me do that. Okay, took its time. It's definitely taking a nap. I'm going to capture an area. This is how you're going to, oops. Oh, it's having issues. sorry. Let's go back to area. Let's see if it'll go back fast enough. It did go back fast. You're confusing me. Let's capture an area. Let's try again. There we go. That's better. Pretty simple. That is actually stored in the map now. If I come out here, you can see that I can say map off. And you can see that's the only thing that's stored in the join. I'm not sure what that great big huge banner is on there. We'll just have to live with that for today. But then I could go print this. I can also, you'll actually see there's some nice features in here that weren't in there before. Grab the edge of that. Or I can control the resolution. Maybe I want it to be very fine. Can you see the map changing a little bit? You can probably see the map changing a little bit. Or if you just want it to be there and not slow you down at all, you can set it to coarse. But that certainly isn't pretty. You can actually rotate it. You can control the brightness of it. There's a lot of flexibility that we didn't have inside of 2014. Really, really awesome. And you can fade it so that you can see through it to the objects in the drawing file. There's a lot of capabilities with geolocate inside of AutoCAD 2014. All right, let's go back over to the PowerPoint because I'm running out of time. So when you load AutoCAD 2014, you'll also see that there's an option to load Recap. It will do that by default. Recap is our reality capture program that takes point clouds and streams them so that you can go very, very quickly inside of AutoCAD or Revit or any of our hero products or Inventor. So it takes those point clouds and just really makes them fast so you can bring them inside of AutoCAD. So what I'm going to do here is just run through this really quickly in the interest of time. So this is how we usually start to design, right? We have an empty screen. But in reality, almost everything that we design exists somewhere in the world, and it would be nice if we had that information as we were doing the designing process. And this is actually a point cloud of a tech shop. And hopefully you can see this rotating around. And I could come in here and I could add a door, or I could add a wall, or I could actually snap to the points in that point cloud. They're actually physical XYZ coordinates. So kind of as I mentioned to you before, we usually start with a blank slate, but it's so nice if you can start with some essence of an existing environment. So reality capture lets you design in context. And just to kind of give you an idea of the improvements, inside of AutoCAD 2013, on the left there, you can see mostly everything was kind of black and white pixels, not a lot going on, and certainly couldn't handle more than 2 billion points per point cloud. And inside of AutoCAD 2015, we can handle over 20 billion points inside of AutoCAD. So big, big difference, very impressive difference. And I'm just going to buzz through these really quickly because we're running out of time. So you can use geolocate now with reality capture, very powerful. So you can set an actual point on a map as well. There's some colorization improvements. You can add an elevation and classification information. The point cloud manager is great. I'll have to come back and show that to you in another presentation. You can crop much better than we could before. We used to clip it. Now we have some powerful cropping tools. And you can display up to 25 million points on the screen. That's a lot of points to display. It used to be just 10 million. Some great lighting tools have been added in, and you can snap to point clouds, not just to the nodes, but it'll actually recognize as surfaces as well. So very, very powerful. It'll recognize planes. It's super, super smart now. So I'm going to have to keep going. A design feed was also added into 2014. It allows you to store notes inside of your drawing file. Or to send messages to people relating to your drawing file. It's great for collaboration. If you can send a message to somebody, hey, you forgot to put this window in, and you can put a note with an arrow pointing where the window should go, and send it to the person who forgot the window, and then they can open that up, put the window back in, and include a note saying, got it, added it, or whatever the situation is. And very, very powerful, this design feed, and a great way to collaborate. And you can get rid of the comments later on if you want to. You don't have to keep the comments with the drawing. And also now the drawings can be stored locally. They used to have to be in your Autodesk 360 account. Now you can store the drawings locally in case you have a company that doesn't allow you to use the Autodesk wonderful cloud app. So AutoCAD desktop subscription. I just want to make sure you know about this because this is fairly new, and I think it's a great option for so many of you. If you're in a situation where you need like 6 more AutoCADs, but you only needed them temporarily for a project, you don't want to buy 6 licenses, right? That's expensive. So now you can actually add licenses for a short-term basis, like quarterly or 6 months or for a year. It's really, really valuable. It's, it's a low cost of entry. You don't have to buy the whole product. It's easy to ramp up, and when you decide you don't need them anymore, you can discontinue them, and you still get access to all the latest tools, and it's full-fledged AutoCAD, and it's just a little bit easier on your budget. I love the fact that you could technically say I need 6 more AutoCADs for a project and include it in a bid, right, and say that they need to pay for that. It's much easier to get that included in a bid than just the, I have these seats of AutoCAD that I had to pay for because they know you use them for other things. So you could specifically assign those seats to a project, which is wonderful. And also, of course, many of you own the AutoCAD Design Suite, which is AutoCAD Plus, right? It's Plus Raster Design, which allows you to take raster and convert it to vector. Showcase, which is an amazing program for showcasing your designs. I kind of call it the PowerPoint of design. That's what I call it. It's a very easy product to use. Great products in the AutoCAD Design Suite, so don't just buy AutoCAD. Take a look at this first before you do that, all right? And of course, Novedge is going to be there to help you through all of this. They'll be more than happy to help you out. If you do buy the Autodesk Design Suite, we encourage you to buy, if you're going to go that route, to get a subscription so that it's easy when the next release of AutoCAD comes out, you're going to automatically get that. You're going to get more storage space on Autodesk 360. Instead of 5 gigabytes, you'll get 25 gigabytes. There's more technical support. There are just a lot of advantages for having a subscription when you buy AutoCAD. So here's I think the last slide for me as far as my part of the presentation. But once again, you can have the desktop subscription where maybe you just buy it for a quarterly or an annual amount of time for 1 year. And then there's also those perpetual licenses, which most of you probably have. And of course, we encourage subscription with that. And Novedge is going to help you with all of that. And on that note, thank you for joining me. And I only have a couple of minutes for answering any questions. But you know what I'll do is I can stay online for a while and answer questions. And I think that if we have a lot of questions, that we're going to actually put it on a blog. Isn't that right, Kevin?
Yes, Lynn. But yeah, I mean, in the interest of time, let's take a few minutes.
Wake up, Kevin.
Yes, I'm here. But yeah, so let's take a couple of minutes to answer some questions. Like Lynn said, if we don't get to all of them, we can save them. I'm going to forward it to Lynn, and Lynn's going to throw it back at us. And we'll try to share it as a blog post and make sure everybody gets their questions answered. So let's start from the top. So Lynn, I have for you a question. Let's see. This is from Mark. Can you use the lasso with stretch commands like you can use crossing polygon? I hope I'm saying it right. Thanks.
You are saying it right.
Cool.
So that's a good question.
Should be towards the top.
Question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think so. That's a great question. You can use, yeah, I would think so.
Okay.
I kind of want to go back and try it, but in the interest of time, once I do that, then I'm not going to be able to answer as many questions.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't see why not. So that's a good question. I don't see why not, but stay tuned. Stay tuned. I'm going to find the answer that out for you.
Cool. Todd wants to know, Lynn, what's your single most favorite productivity change addition in AutoCAD 2015?
I like that question. That's much easier. I just picked my favorite. So I am a big fan of the little things because, like I said, I think that's what mostly affects our everyday drawing life. I love the command preview. And then I also absolutely love the visual feedback that you get when selecting objects, just because, as you can see, I did it in this presentation. I for some reason, don't always remember to go into the viewports so that I'm in model space inside of the viewports, which is really frustrating. And then I'm in the middle of a command, and I don't notice it. So if you're like me, you will appreciate that a lot. Whoever asked me that question, I like that one because that one's easy to answer.
Okay, Sally wants to know, have there been any stability improvements to the hatch command? It still seems to be the biggest cause of system crashes.
The hatch command. No, nothing's changed in the hatch command, but I'll just say in general, AutoCAD 2015 has really been streamlined, and I've noticed a lot of things are faster. So they did a lot of rehaul on the code, the inner code, and They didn't tell me specifically cross-hatching, but I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case. And anybody can download AutoCAD 2015 and use it for 30 days. So you can try things like that out to see whether or not it's a better performance for hatching, for example. So anybody can download it for free and give it a shot before you spend the money on it. The sales guys don't like it when I say that, but I think that you should be informed. So the question was, let me go back over to command preview if you don't mind. I kind of feel the need to go into stretch, which you don't have to spell all the way out, Lynn. And can I do a lasso? Look at that. I'm so excited. That was a great question, whoever asked that question. But you can see that the lasso is working. Maybe it needs to be a crossing lasso. Let's hit this space bar till it gets to crossing.
Cool.
Does it look like it was working? I think it is working. I think it is.
Sweet.
That's
awesome.
I had it on window before. So you have to remember to make sure you're on crossing, hit the space bar, or you can type in a C. I like the space bar, but it looks like it works. That's awesome. Good question.
Yes. Let's see. One last question. We have a lot coming in, so I think we're going to lean towards doing that blog Q&A just to get everybody's questions there. Okay, one last one. That's a good one. Okay, can you calculate volumes by AutoCAD 2015, and how?
Can you calculate volume? That's a terrible question to ask me. Is that the last one that you picked? That's a tough one.
Okay, let's try another one.
Can you calculate volume? Well, that's a fair question. You can get some volume information. It doesn't have to be 2015. You can get some volume information. I suppose it depends how complicated your volume is. You can get some basic volume information. I wonder what it is that you're trying to do, because I kind of want to say maybe you should be using Inventor, which can give you so much information related to volumes. But so nothing has changed in 2015 for the person that's asked me that question. It's no different than it was before, yeah. So I'm going to guess you probably tried it in 2014 or before and didn't give you enough information or exactly what you needed for maybe you have some complicated volumes that you wanted to figure out. And then I would say probably maybe look at Autodesk Inventor, which is a pro at that.
I think that one more.
I want to end on that one.
Oh, okay, cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's find one. Let's see.
Make sure it's one I know the answer to this time, okay?
Okay. Let's see.
I guess I could look at the questions too.
Yes. Okay, wait. I think I have one. Well, unless you found one already, let's do this. Okay, what is the map image stored as in the DWG? And is it able to be updated, or does it have to be removed and replaced? That's from Kevin.
That is a great question. Because I was running through that so quickly, I did not share that information. So what happens is it's stored in your drawing file, but you can update it. There was an option, if you took a look on the ribbon, there was an option to update it. What happens is it goes back out, and it brings the map data back in. It doesn't do that automatically, because you may not want that to happen. You may want that image to stay the way it was when you brought it in, so they don't have it do it automatically. Plus, you have to sit for a minute while it goes out and gets the most recent information. Well, not a minute, but a few seconds. So absolutely, and it's stored, I think it's stored as an image file inside of AutoCAD. And you can go in and you can actually take the grips and you can move those around to change them anytime you want to make it larger or smaller. It's an amazing improvement inside of AutoCAD 2015. That's a good question too. They're all good questions.
Sounds good. Okay.
We're going to end on that one though. Let's end on that one.
Okay, let's totally end it. But hey, you know what, attendees, keep sending in those questions. I'm going to show you another way we can contact Lynn too and submit your questions as well. So, all right, Lynn, I think I'll take the whole entire podium back now.
Okay, so let me do that.
Sweet. You guys should be able to see my screen right about now. There you go. Well, yeah, on behalf of the Novedge team, on behalf of everyone, attendees, thank you for attending. It's been an awesome webinar, and as you can tell, AutoCAD 2015 is jam-packed full of features. We're a little bit constrained for time. We had about 40 minutes for the presentation. You guys have a lot of questions. We'll try our best to answer all of them as soon as we can. But if you guys are looking to pick up the latest version of AutoCAD 2015, we have it available at Novedge.com. We are one of the largest online design software stores. If you guys are looking to try it out, we also have links to download the 30-day free trial for AutoCAD 2015. But yes, if you guys want more information, contact our sales specialist, Calvin Locke. You can send him an email at calvin@novedge.com. And if you guys want to, get the latest news on what's going on, staying current with AutoCAD and other Autodesk news, it says right there too as well. Check it out at lynn.blogs.com. This will be an awesome way to keep up with what Lynn is up to in terms of AutoCAD. And I think Lynn mentioned that in a few months or maybe another month, the AutoCAD 2015 tips and tricks booklet will be out too. So definitely jot that down, bookmark it, save it to your Android device, Windows device, whatever it is. This is a good website. Check it out. Barbara?
Hey, thank you, Lynn. That was a fantastic presentation. I love the charcoal green, charcoal gray. I think gray is a no white. I strongly agree. And I'm here to remind you to visit the Novedge blog and to meet not just the architects, but the innovators, the makers, the VFX artists who work right on the edge of creativity and technology. We have great interviews, great images, and great stories. Come visit us today at blog.novedge.com. And also, to catch up with the latest product promos and Novedge webinars, like us on Facebook. In fact, as early as today, we'll put out the link so you can download the free AutoCAD download and try it for 30 days. Why not? Coming up in 2 weeks, geometric consultant Jonathan Duguay gives us an overview of Vision Civil, a powerful tool for land surveyors and civil engineers. This presentation is free and will last about an hour, including the Q&A session, just like today. To sign up, head on over to www.novedge.com/webinar/111. Last but not least, today's webinar has been recorded live, and if you want to rewatch it, because it was so fun, and I would, you can find it on our Novedge webinar series channel through Vimeo and YouTube. Thank you very much, everybody, and ciao.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Follow us on Twitter and also follow Lynn. Lynn, what's your Twitter account again? Oh, my gosh.
It's Lynn_Allen.
Yes, there you go. Lynn_Allen. That's 2 L's. But, yeah, on behalf of the team, thank you. Have a good one. Ciao.
Thank you.